Anonymous dropped the video of people that they saw in these Epstein files. And I'm gonna show you the video in just a second. But again, the sponsor of this video is me. Win by losing in stocks. I trade stocks every single day at 9:35. Please come check me out. And if you've ever thought about trying to get versed in trading stocks, you want to learn my system, get a one-on-one with me at calendly.com/Lamont Tyson. As I was saying, Anonymous dropped the video about people you might not have known was in the Epstein files. And folks, I do decree that the decline of democracy is because of the Epstein files. It is because rich people know that their asses is in these files, and they would rather tear the country apart than to have to go to jail and give up this rich lifestyle that they had. And what do we know is a stereotype of white dudes? When rich white dudes, when they're faced with prison, they go and commit you know what instead of going to prison and serving penance. And so I do believe that the reason why we don't get a lot of resistance from certain Democrats is because they're in these files too. Now let's go through these files. Let's see who Anonymous is saying is in these files, and then we can break down some of my thoughts on the folks that are in these files.
The Epstein files are revealing more every day. Jared Kushner, our very own Cushion Our Bushes, has been spotted in the Epstein files celebrating a professional anniversary. But what makes this celebration worthy of our news cycle is the guest list. First on the list was Cory Booker, sitting senator for New Jersey, who was accused of non-consensual touching after being told no on New Year's Eve 1984. Peter Martins, former ballet master-in-chief of the New York City Ballet, accused of multiple accusations of sexual harassment, assault, and physical abuse by dancers. Steve Tisch, the chairperson of the New York Giants. His family is listed as one of those who helped financially restore the tunnels under Central Park, and he was found in the Epstein files discussing women with Epstein. Donald Trump, at least 28 women have publicly accused him of sexual misconduct, including rape, sexual assault, groping, and harassment since the 1970s. Harvey Weinstein, over 80 women have accused him of sexual harassment, assault, or rape. He is serving a 16-year prison sentence. Jeffrey Epstein, a devil that walked this earth in human skin, according to a 2025 U.S. Department of Justice FBI review, Epstein harmed more than 1,000 women and girls. Michael Bloomberg, former New York City mayor, he has multiple accusations of sexist and degrading comments, also alleging that he fostered company culture of sexual harassment. Well, that's one elite Manhattan party where multiple convicted rapists and serial sexual predators casually mingled with the powerful like it was standard high society networking. What really happened at those dinners?
What really happened at those dinners? May those that choose to be brave and speak up always be covered. You're protected in this realm and in the next by sacred.
Lord have mercy. So folks, you can understand why we've got, now allegedly, let me just say all these people allegedly, because one thing that has frustrated me with social media, anytime somebody wants to talk about the accusations in these files, social media try to take your video down, demonetize you, because we're being controlled by the very people whose names are in these files. Cory Booker is who I'm going to focus on in a minute, and his allegations. But what bothers me about this people is there are so many people that we don't know about that are probably left, that are probably on the left, that are center to the right, that you don't hear coming out making more vehement calls for justice for the victims, or making more vehement stops to Trump's bull jive, because Trump is throwing shade. He's throwing cover against the Epstein files. So much so, folks, that there is a pattern of behavior that goes on with this. D.L. Hughley broke it down the other day. Here it is.
You know how many fake assassinated attempts Jim Jones had? So he would fake these assassination attempts that kind of drew his followers closer to him because they felt like our leader's under attack. Is it more conspiratorial to believe that a cult would fake assassination attempts, or that an 80-year-old dude who shits on himself and forgets things is a liar? You know how many
Trump and Republicans have been doing that for years. It's called getting into wars, ladies and gentlemen. Normally they do it to spend money. They use a war as an excuse to spend money and then tell you as taxpayers, you shouldn't be socializing the money that we all pay into the government. I mean, earlier today, I saw an interview where Elon Musk is talking about we need to get rid of Medicaid and Medicare because it's an entitlement. And I want to say, mother effer, first of all, there is no bigger whore to the government socializing their money than you. Number two, people pay into Medicare and Medicaid, and you want to cut it? Why? So that you can have more money to try to take from the government to take your ass to Mars? I mean, if you want to go to Mars, dude, you're the richest man on the world right now. Go to Mars and leave us be. Take your money with you. But I digress. Everybody who wants to get out of something tries to throw a diversion to get out of it. That's what they do. Now, it went from it's a hoax to they released the files to now we gotten in the war so that we could forget the files. And if you don't believe me, ladies and gentlemen, you need to show some kind of evidence to your MAGA friends. If you guys still hang with MAGA, I know I don't. Take a look at Trump's history over the Epstein files.
When reporters ask Donald Trump about Jeffrey Epstein, he often deflects or ignores the questions. But we fact-checked some of the times where he addressed those questions head-on. On July 15th, Trump was asked why his administration has not released as many files as promised.
These files were made up by Comey, they were made up by Obama, they were made up by the Biden information,
This is false. The files are real. The Justice Department has said there's over 300 gigabytes of records and other evidence related to its investigations into Jeffrey Epstein. Many of those documents have already been released. Secondly, those investigations did not occur under Comey, Biden, or Obama. The FBI first investigated Jeffrey Epstein in 2006 and reached a plea deal with him a year later. The president then was George W. Bush. Then in 2019, the Justice Department began investigating Epstein's plea deal. The president during that was Donald J. Trump. So there's no evidence that Comey, Biden, or Obama, quote unquote, made up the files. Trump was asked again on July 25th about his administration's handling of the Epstein files. Here's what he said.
You ought to be speaking about Bill Clinton, who went to the island 28 times.
This lacks evidence. In Clinton's case, there are two people who say he's visited the island one time. Clinton has denied that, and there's no evidence beyond that. Trump is most likely referring to flight logs. The records show that Clinton traveled on Jeffrey Epstein's private plane more than 24 times, but the logs do not show that he visited the island. It's also worth noting that Trump himself appears in these logs. The records show that he traveled at least 8 times on Epstein's private plane. In July, the Wall Street Journal reported that Trump had sent Jeffrey Epstein a birthday note in the early 2000s with a crude drawing of a woman. Trump denied that on social media. Here's what he said. The Wall Street Journal printed a fake letter, supposedly to Epstein. These are not my words, not the way I talk. Also, I don't draw pictures. This is false. After Trump made his social media post, the New York Times and other outlets reported on the many drawings that Trump has submitted over the years to charities. He drew pictures of buildings and the New York skyline. A few days later, Trump admitted that he did in fact draw sometimes, but he said he doesn't draw women.
Sometimes people say, would you draw a building and I'll draw 4 lines and a little roof, for a charity stuff. I don't do drawings of women. That I can tell you.
There is no evidence that Trump was involved in any of Epstein's illegal activities, but he continues to deny, deflect, and make false statements around the matter.
See, ladies and gentlemen, we went from a hoax, lie, to deflecting. And now this brings me all back to Cory Booker and the people who are supposed to be representing the left, which is supposed to stand for justice, standing for minorities, fighting for the middle class and poor, and why so many of them MFers have gone to help be subservient to the causes of Trump. Because the Epstein files is not just an American thing, it is an international thing. There are several international players involved in this thing. You want to know who one of them is? Allegedly, Benjamin Netanyahu, Who have a lot of Democrats been caking up for, willing to send money to? Benjamin Netanyahu. Which explains why a lot of those same Democrats are not responding to the needs of middle class and poor by standing up to Trump and money going to Israel, because most likely they've got some ties to the Epstein files and they don't want that stuff to get out and threaten their legacy, maybe even threaten their freedom. And so you don't believe what I'm saying? Let me show you something Cory Booker just said this weekend that ties back to something he said on the I've Had It podcast. Take a look at this.
You would vote to approve arms sales for Israel in a future entanglement if you thought that was necessary.
Again, we have a long-standing commitment to Israel having a qualitative military edge. I will continue to support that.
You will continue to support Israel's military edge. Now, folks, let me even further take this down the road. Not only did we just saw that there's allegations of him in the files, but who do you think is funding him? AIPAC. I guarantee you there's so many folks in there supporting AIPAC in them files and have done other dastardly deeds that they're propping this shit up, okay? We been knew something was afoot with him, because anytime you chastise him on Israel, calling Benjamin Netanyahu a war criminal, he gets into the bed with those dudes who toss better salads than two gay men with their tongues out at each other's butthole. Don't believe what I'm saying? Take a look at I've Had It.
Do you think he's a war criminal, Benjamin Netanyahu? Do you think he's a war criminal?
Again, these are questions that a lot of people think are the important litmus tests that are loaded and hot. My urgency is to be an effective leader in bringing an end to this crisis. And I get these questions all the time that, to me, undermine my urgency.
I think the thing that Democrats get so frustrated with, where we are right now, where you see like the Zoran Mamdanis and the Graham Plattners rise up, because they can go on podcasts and you can say, do you think Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal? And they just say, yes. And that's the end of it. It's not all of the rhetoric answering. It's like what happens to Democratic politicians, they go through this like prism, and then we can't ever get like the answer to yes or no conversations like you do with Bernie and others. And that's the frustration for the Democratic base. Do I think Netanyahu is worse than Trump?
Yes.
Y'all see that word tossing salad I was just talking about? That was it. And he was basically talking about, he doesn't want to say this and that. Folks, he could end it by just not voting to continue to send money over there. I mean, I'm not saying he's lying, but what did I just catch him in? That video with him on I've Had It was before what he just said on this weekend. You see how democracy is declining because of the Epstein files and the connection to international players like Benjamin Netanyahu, back down to AIPAC and those anonymous people giving money there, to the politicians controlled by AIPAC, who same politicians might have something in the Epstein files, voting softly for MAGA policies, folks. We can't have this. And the only way we get out of this is progressives who are not taking this kind of money, ladies and gentlemen. AOC, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Zoran Mamdanis, Graham Plattners, Chris Murphy, Ro Khanna, Jasmine Crockett. We've got to have that wing of the Democrat. Well, some would probably tell me to pump the brakes on Jasmine Crockett because she's kind of sided with Israel on some issues too. But she has later come back and cleaned it up and clarified what she stood for. It makes no sense we're sending them money, people. They've got health care for everybody, education, early child care for everybody, but we keep sending money there while we've got the rich oligarchs here who have something to do with Epstein files talking about they want to get rid of Medicare and Medicaid, something that people have paid into. So, folks, that is the decline of democracy that directly links to the Epstein files.